Hello, Broadview students. I hope you are doing well today. What a great joy it has been this past few weeks that we've been together, and what joy it's been to see your faces and to know that you're doing well. Today we continue in our series, Different, and God's calling upon our lives to live in the world differently because we have His Spirit living in the inside of us. What a great privilege and a great calling that God has given us, that we are now chosen to manifest His glory on earth and show other people and be witnesses of Him to other people by how we live, just by being different. And we know that it is through His Word that we are showed how to actually accomplish this. And today we jump into chapter 6 of Ephesians. And in verses 1, this is what God's Word says. It says, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right, and honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, so that it may go well with you, and that you may enjoy long life on earth." This is a great word that God has given us. That's the beauty of God's Word to us, that it never leaves us to our own schemes, to our own ways, or doing things the way we want to. We live in a world that more and more you see it, more young people don't see the need to respect their parents or to honor them. But we see in God's Word is telling us that as children of God, you ought to be different. And one of the ways you are to be different is by obeying your parents in the Lord. By implication, the first thing He's calling us from the text we read is this attitude of obedience to our parents and towards our parents. And it says, in the Lord. By implication, our response towards them is not sometimes based on what they've done or what they deserve, if we can say that. But we are honoring them because we're doing it in the Lord. That's what God's Word calls us to do. Out of honor to them, out of respect to them for being our parents. And I know mostly going back to this context is different from the world we live in today. But God's Word never changes. It is still the same. For me, growing up in Africa and things like that, I can still see that. It's a culture where, man, if your parents say something, you don't interject. In fact, you don't even sit on the same seat with your parents. In most of the cases, when your parents are sitting in the living room watching television, you're supposed to be somewhere else because of that respect. And I know sometimes we do it to the extreme too, but just that idea of honor and respect. And from God's Word, it's not an outward show. You see, you can, for instance, as an African or people, cultures that really push a lot for respect, you can actually decide to bow your head and greet someone and decide not to be in the same room with them out of respect. So though outwardly you live in this obedience, inwardly you actually do your own thing, your own way, without really honoring them. But God's Word tells us that we need to honor our fathers, honor our mothers. And He said this is the first commandment that comes with a promise. And what is that promise? He said, so that it will go well with you and that you will live long. You see, this is the promise of God's Word, saying that when we live in obedience to our parents, because we honor God by honoring them and being obedient to them, He's saying it's going to go well with us. It's going to go well with you, and you shall live long here on earth. What a promise. You see, this is not my promise. I don't have the power to do that. Your parents don't have the power to do that. But God, who made this promise that through obedience to parents and honor to them, that our lives will be blessed because we choose to obey our parents, has the power and the ability to honor His Word. So today, I don't know, sometimes there are relationships that are fraught and broken with parents, or you have challenges with communicating with your parents, or you just feel like they just don't deserve my respect, or because of history of the struggles at home or divorce, you think they don't deserve my respect. You see, God's word calls us to respect not because of what the other person has done, or to honor because of them. Say, but children, obey your parents in the Lord. That we do this out of obedience to God. And also that we are listening to the things they ask us to do that is in accordance to God's will, His purpose for our lives. You see, though there are differences, and sometimes we can even voice out our disagreement, but we need to always do it out of reverence, out of respect for who they are. We can't look down on our parents. We can't talk back to them. We need to listen to them. When they're talking, we listen and we respect them. That our attitude is, you deserve this honor, you deserve this respect as my parent. So that's what God's word calls us to obedience, to listening, to carrying out what they tell us to do. Without grumbling, I'll add, without murmuring, but with honor and respect to them for who they are as our parents. This is not something God's word is telling us when you feel like, when you want to do that, but He's saying, children, it's a command, obey your parents in the Lord. Say, for this is the right thing to do. I hope you can live this week in obedience and honor to your parents, to your father and to your mother. Even if you disagree, you should still honor and give respect. All right, I hope to see you soon. You have a blessed week. I have some announcements that I'm going to make, but sometime this week, I'm going to communicate those to you. All right, you take care. God's blessings. Bye-bye.